Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Superstar SEO webinar. My name is Chris Walker. I will be your host this evening, and I will stop talking like a game show host right now. You should see on your screen where it says "Welcome, Megatron." For those of you that aren't nerds, that's from the Transformers cartoon movie in 1986. It was voiced by Orson Welles in his last role. He's this big planet-looking thing here, and he's saying "Welcome, Megatron" to this little guy here. So I've always found that a good way to start off. And if you ever wonder why I don't have a girlfriend, there's your reason. I'm almost 40 years old and I'm making cartoon references. So, I don't want to keep you here very long tonight. Somebody says, will there be a replay? Yes. Yes, there will be. If you could hold any of your questions to the end, I'd appreciate it, because I read them and then I get sidetracked and it kind of messes up the flow. So, anyway, see what I mean? Anyway, I don't want to keep you here real long tonight. I know everybody's busy and it is kind of late here on the East Coast for some people. So, I'm going to get right into it, give you an idea of what we're going to talk about, and we'll get right into the training and we'll move on. So, today we're going to be talking about Google Maps. Google Maps, we'll cover what that is exactly in a second, just in case you don't know. But by the end of this webinar, you will learn the 7 steps that I take to rank any site in Google Maps and make the ranking stick. I have one ranking that I'm going to show you that's been there for over 2 years. I'm going to get a chance to show you, give you a chance to see over the shoulder how I go about doing that. And then I'm going to give you a chance to get my previous course, Local Video Mastery, for free. And before I continue on, I had one guy, I mentioned earlier that there was one guy who had used the Local Video Mastery course to get a $3,000 a month client. And he messaged me after the webinar to correct me and say it was actually a $4,000 a month client. So shout out to Dave if you're listening. I'm sorry I got that wrong on you. So anyway, who am I? If you're here, I assume you already know who I am, so I won't spend a lot of time on this. But just in case you found this randomly or something, my name is Chris Walker. I am the owner of Superstar SEO. It's the most successful independent SEO agency in South Carolina. I am the all-time leading seller on Conquer.io, the micro job site. I'm a video and local SEO expert, and I run a Facebook SEO group with over 5,000 members. And I've been featured in SourceWave SEO webinars, OMG Machine webinars, and SERP.net. So that's me in this picture here with my awesome Tom Cruise sunglasses. So enough about me. You're not here to talk about me. I mean, you should be, but you're not. So what are Google Maps? So just in case, I assume most of you know what I'm talking about when I say that, but I don't want to make that broad of an assumption in case you don't. So Google Maps are when you search a local term, and by local I mean a term that has a location associated with it. So Dallas roofer, New York lawyer, whatever. So anything that has like a location associated with it. Here we're showing the results for Myrtle Beach SEO for a couple of reasons. It's one that I know the result of because I'm right there at the top and have been for over 2 years. And it's just a good example because it shows everything we need to know. It's this portion here that shows the name and the phone number and the directions and so on. So like I say, I'm sure most of you already know what that is, but I don't want to assume. Also, if I've talked too fast, just somebody tell me to slow down because I get that complaint a lot. But and I do my best to adjust for it, but it's just kind of how I talk. So I'll do my best to, if I go too fast, somebody just rein me in a little bit. The other type of listing is organic, and that's the listings that show up below that box that I just showed. So down here you would have more results, and all of those results are the organic listings. So what's the difference between maps versus organic? Well, maps are the first thing you see in search results, so obviously that's important because that's the thing that people are most likely to click on, and that they'll be most likely to get the business. Sometimes when you search on mobile, it'll be the only thing you see. And I don't mean it'll be literally the only thing you can see, but it'll take up your entire screen. So it'll be the only thing you see. And I'm going to show you an example of that here in a moment. Also on mobile, there'll be the click to call button. So if somebody looks for something on their phone and they see that it takes the map takes up their entire screen, they can just press the little telephone button and call it. So obviously they have a much higher chance of getting that particular business. So, and in certain industries, it's more valuable. So for instance, if, I don't know, suppose a pipe bursts in your house, are you going to take Maps, aka Snack Pack? Yes, that's the same thing. Suppose a pipe bursts in your house and there's water flooding everywhere, are you going to take the time to search the people in the organic listings and research who's the best, or are you just going to search and find the one at the top and immediately call them? Obviously, you're going to call them because that's a big problem and you want to get that solved right away. So it's important to show up there. Other SEOs will argue with you about that. I heard a fairly well-known one say the other day that he doesn't think it's valuable, but I tend to disagree. And this last point is something I can't really prove, but I know before I got into SEO, into internet marketing, I always thought that the ones there were, I don't know how I thought this, but were just the better businesses, that somehow that was just determined that they gave the best service and did the best work, so they were at the top. So I think it adds some credibility to your business to be showing up there. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. So here's an example of what it looks like from desktop. I know this is a little hard to see, but I couldn't really fit the whole thing on there. But this is, again, for Myrtle Beach SEO, and here's me showing mine off a little bit, because I'm at the top through there. And then these are the organic listings down here. But basically, this is what you'll probably get if you search on desktop, something like this for any local term that you search for. And again, I know most of you know that, but I'm trying to not make any assumptions about experience levels. So, and then as I was saying, for mobile, sometimes it'll take up the entire screen. This is a screenshot I took from my phone earlier today, and this is the entire screen on my phone. So as you can see, the maps are the entire thing that you see. So obviously you want to show up there, because that's going to, a lot of times nobody's going to scroll down past that. So swipe down, I guess, past that. Excuse me. And this isn't some, little flip phone from 2006. This was an iPhone 7 Plus. So my point in that is, even with a big screen, it's going to take up the entire screen. So it's important to show up there, because it's going to be the only thing some people see. So how is it ranking in maps different than organic ranking? So there's a couple different things. For one, there's more steps involved. With ranking in organic, you can optimize the page right and then just throw links at it, and you'll eventually rank, and that's all there is to it. In fact, you don't even have to optimize the page right. If you ever want to get a good example of that, search for NYC SEO, and you'll find Gregory Ortiz is at the top. He's at the first two listings, and one of the two, I forget which it is, has absolutely no on-page. In fact, one of them is a picture of a bodybuilder, and that's the entire on-page. So my point is that all you have to do is throw links at it, and you'll rank. With maps, there's a lot more steps involved. You have to optimize your Google business. You have to get different types of links like citations, and we'll get into all that. But there's a lot more steps involved. And there's a lot more attention to detail is required, because as we're going to talk about here in a moment, one of the things that you have to do is get your name, address, and phone number consistent across all the different properties that you listed on. And by consistent, I don't mean you have to have it everywhere. You have to have it exactly the same everywhere. So if your business is on 123 Main Street and you type in 123 Main ST period, you have to put ST period as often as possible. Some sites won't allow it, but if you put ST sometimes and STREET sometimes, it's not going to work as well, and it may not work at all. So you have to be detail oriented, and that's tough for me, because as any of you know me well, that's not my strength at all. So it requires an attention to detail that organic ranking does not. So hopefully that makes sense. So now we're just going to jump right into the 7 steps. If I'm going too fast for anybody, again, please speak up, because otherwise I will blow right through this. All right, step 1, I mentioned that just a minute ago, is getting your name, address, and phone number, or NAP, which, by the way, I took between webinars today. I took a nap. I was exhausted. Not the same thing, though. But this has to be consistent on both your website, your Google business, which we'll talk about here in a second, and on any other property where you list it, such as your Yelp and your other citations, which we'll also be talking about in a minute. And again, it has to be very, very specific. You can't just, you have to get the abbreviations right, and it doesn't matter which way it is, because somebody asked me that earlier. So for example, if in my street versus ST example, doesn't matter which way it is, but it has to be the same. I know that sounds like a pain in the butt, but and it is a pain in the butt, but this isn't going to work if you aren't as accurate on that as possible. It reminds me, get off a little tangent here. I started my career in technology as a programmer, and it reminds me a lot of that. I think that's what I reference, how I keep myself on track when I'm doing this, is because one character out of place in that is going to make it not work right. So I find myself thinking of that in the same way with this, that one character out of place and it won't work right. So hopefully that makes sense. So step 2 is probably the easiest step of the 7, and that's optimizing your website. The main things you need to do there are, excuse me, a little bit of a tech problem here. The main things you need to do there are make sure that the address is on it as accurately as possible. You're going to hear me say that a lot today, because like I say, it's the key to everything. And then I like to also have a map, an actual Google map on my site. I find that makes a difference too. And there's some other little hacks that you can do. And God, I keep using that term and I hate it, but there's some other little hacks you can do to help your on-site too. But for the main thing, you want to make sure you have your N.A.P on there and your, and your and a map and your N.A.P and your map. That rhymes, so it's confusing. So anyway, step 3 is Google Business. Now, Google Business is a product of Google's, kind of like Maps. It's google.com/business. And this is the other key to setting it up right. This is where you put in your address initially, and then you put it on your other properties, and then that's how Google ties it all together. So Google looks at the business, and then they look at that address in other places, and they mesh them together to form this is this business, and that's the one that they want to show up. There are other things you have to do in there as well. You have to upload images that are geotagged. Geotagging means to say that it's metadata on the image, and it says that that image is from a certain location. So, and that could be a training in all in itself, but essentially that is another key to getting your Google Business set up right, and in turn map ranking. So there's more to setting up your Google Business as well. Like you put in the times that you're open and things of that nature. So I won't go too in depth to that because again, that could be a course all on its own. So yeah. Get a question. If you work out of your home and you don't want to advertise your home address or street view, is there any way around listing the address? Yeah, what you can do is, depends on the type of business, but if you have a business where you go to people as opposed to them coming to you, then you can put in a service area. So for example, if you're a photographer or a carpet cleaner or something where you go out to customer sites, then instead of putting in your address as like a physical business, it'll give you an option to put in a service area that you service. So you can say, I work in 100 miles or 20 miles or whatever of this address, and that'll be how you handle that. So I do run into that a lot. I work out of my home and I have my home address as my Google address, but nobody's coming to see me anyway. So, but that is a question I get for a lot. So hopefully that answers that. Everybody good so far? If you have any questions, I know I said hold on to the end, but I'll pause periodically throughout just to make sure that I'm not confusing anybody or anything like that. So, all right. So step 4 is citations. Now, to understand what a citation is you think about the word. When I was in college, one of the only things I ever really got points off for on my papers was not citing my sources enough. So what that means is, you're supposed to go find information and then say where that information comes. So that's a citation, and it works kind of like that with websites. So a citation, for example, is any site that lists your name, address, phone number, and I'm talking about your business, and links to your website. Technically, the link isn't necessary, but I think it is. So some good examples of that are Yelp and Foursquare and Facebook business pages and some other ones. But essentially, you can turn a lot of things into a citation by having the name, address, phone number, and website link in it. As far as off-page factors go, this is the most important one. Except there's also some misunderstanding about this. A few years ago, you could just build out thousands of these, well, hundreds or thousands of these, and you would rank. Now it's more about relevance and having the core ones. So the core ones are the ones like Yelp, Foursquare, and so on. But then what you want to do are find two different things. You want to find location relevant ones and niche relevant ones. Niche or industry. I should probably start saying industry because it's a little more accurate. So, for example, if you have a client that's an attorney, it would be something like the bar association in that state may have a link to their site and the name with the address and the phone number and so on. That would be a good example of an industry specific one. I'm trying not to say niche. And as far as a location one, there might be like businesses in blank city might have a directory. I know there's one here in Myrtle Beach, for example, that you can sign up for, and that will list where your business is with a link to it. Some of those you're going to have to pay for. Some of those you're going to have to pay for pretty heavily, but other ones you can get for a decent price. So another good example is something like the Chamber of Commerce. If you remember that kind of counts as a citation, and that would be both a local and, well, I guess that would just be a local one. So does that make sense? Great. So We'll be covering hacks for how to get your service company listed in snack packs for multiple towns when you only have one location. If you only have one location, what you're probably going to need to do is create multiple pages on your site and handle it that way. That's kind of a tricky situation. You can do multiple locations pretty easily, but for service areas, it's a bit trickier. So ask it in the group, and we'll try to work through that together. Somebody says, just got off work. I'm a little late. Will there be a replay? Yes, there will be a replay. What about foreign countries that doesn't have much local citations option? I've got to be perfectly honest, I haven't done many outside of the United States, but I'm sure the algorithm works the same. So just get as many as you can. And there are other factors that we're about to get into, but get as many as you can and just adapt from there. But again, I haven't done a lot outside of the United States, so I can probably help you with that, but we'd have to muddle through it. It's not something I have a ton of experience with, and I'm not going to sit here and make something up and tell you to go do it, because that's just not how I like to do things. So everybody good on that point? Okay, good. So step 5 is links. Links come in a lot of varieties and a lot of different ways. There are, for example, there are social properties such as Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest. You can turn some of those into citations, but the links themselves are powerful. And then there are guest posts. Those are really powerful. They're probably the hardest ones to come by because, well, let me explain what a guest post is. A guest post is when someone has a website or a blog or something like that, and in exchange for money, or sometimes they'll just do it for free or information or something, they'll post a link on their site back to your site. And those tend to be really powerful because you can find niche related ones, you can find local related ones, or you can just find some that are from really strong sites. So those are really powerful. And then there are PBN links. A PBN stands for Private Blog Network. And what that is a site, and I know, again, a lot of you probably already know this, but I don't want to assume. That is a site that was once an active website that for whatever reason the owner let it go, and it got sent to auction, and somebody purchased it and rebuilt it as a site. And the reason that works is because all the links that were pointing to that site before still count. And there's some controversy about that, but there isn't enough evidence to dispute that, in my opinion. But those links still count, so that site still has power. So then what people do is rebuild it and link to other sites that they're then trying to rank. And that's probably, that's for organic ranking, is probably one of the most powerful methods, but there's a certain way that you can do anchor text on a PBN post that I go over in the course that helps push up or map listing as well. And it has to do, there's a specific way you have to go about it when you're doing it specifically for map ranking and to not mess up your organic ranking. So I'll just leave that at that for now. And then there's other types of links. There's like edu sites and things like that, but those are a little more obscure and a little random. So any questions on that section? If I have a lead gen site, how can I rank on the maps in a city that I don't live in? You're really not supposed to do that. There are ways to do it, but I'm not going to teach that because it's against terms of service, and you have to let's just say that it's against the Google terms of service. I know technically all SEO is against terms of service, but it just doesn't work. Every time I've seen someone do that, it ends up getting shut down and leading to problems. So if you're doing a lead gen site, I would just focus on organic listing. So any other questions on that section, or can I move on to the next one? Give me one if I can move on, or ask me a question. Good? All right. So the next step, and I find that this one is lessening in importance compared to what it once was, but it is still a factor, and it's what I like to call is a tiebreaker. So if business A and business B have done the exact same things, the way that they're going to one of the ways they can determine who's going to win and get this positioning is reviews. Now, what do I mean by reviews? If we go back up here to this picture, it's these stars and this number here are how many people have actually gone to Google and reviewed your business, hopefully positively. Although, truth be told, negative reviews don't affect it, but positive reviews do help. I don't think this is as much a factor as it used to be because, for example, this guy has one, and I happen to know that some of the ones down here and more places that aren't even showing have dozens and dozens, and up to like 30 or 40 in some cases. And then I've seen other ones where there's none at all, but it is still a factor. Google, in my opinion, does not make these as easy to find as it should. I actually, I tried to get someone to do one for mine once, and it took a half an hour of me trying to, like, I know my way around Google pretty well, and it took back then like half hour trying to find what link to send them. So it's a little ridiculous on how difficult that is. So I think maybe they're going to phase that out eventually. That's just my opinion. I don't know, but it is still a factor and is something that you should do. The ways you can go about it are you can ask your client to ask their clients to leave a review. You can get your friends and family or their friends and family to do it, although I don't recommend that. And as an absolute last resort, there are a couple of services that will go out and do it in a way that it'll stick. So there's that. Again, I think this is lessening in importance, but it is still a thing. Steve says the person above him has none. Exactly. So I think it used to be one of the major factors. It is still a small factor, but it's not like it used to be, in my opinion. And there's a lot of evidence to back that up, in my opinion. So, and then beyond that, we have the secret sauce, which are some advanced techniques like Google Map citations. Let me give you an example of what a Google Map citation is. This is really powerful for both map and organic rankings. And they'll rank all on their own sometimes too. Earlier when I was typing, someone made fun of how loud I type. That's not what I say. I'm typing what I'm saying. That was funny. Good job. It's been a long week, and it's Monday. All right, so where is it? Right here, number 2. I've actually got one of these ranking all on its own at number 2. That just means a good keyboard. Yeah. Let's see if we click to this. And it's just you can put a really lengthy article in here, but you have your business name, address, phone number, a link to your website. You need to update that and make it HTTPS, but that's neither here nor there. And you can get really fancy with this and put in like videos and pictures and all sorts of things too. I like to do like 125 to 150 of these for every site I rank because it's super powerful. They pass an organic, they help with your organic because it's a do follow link. I think it's do follow. Do follow means that Google follows it to the next spot and it passes link to it. Yeah, do follow link. That and it's a citation and it's just a Google property, so it's really powerful all the way around. So that's what a Google Map citation is. That's one of the advanced techniques or secret sauce that I like to talk about. And as you can see, it ranks number 2 all on its own. I'm kicking my own ass because this is part of my language. This is my meetup group and this is my Google Map. And my organic ranking has actually dipped some today for some reason. So I'll have to work on that. But anyway. Other things are schema. Schema could be, again, a course all on its own. But there is certain schema that the local business schema is important to include. What that does is it's a type of code that you put in your HTML. And I'm not going to pretend to understand the entire concept of schema, but it's code that you put in your HTML that tells Google information about your business. So your hours, the name of your business, there's certain social profiles that it wants to see. Things like that. That's an advanced technique, and that's something that you can do to really help boost your map ranking because it gives Google information and doesn't make it search for it. So hopefully that makes sense. And then there's another technique that one of my good friends, Iman, is good at. I like to call him the I-Man, but it's called Google Map Stacking, and it's where you take, I don't totally have it, but he is in the course, he teaches it a little bit. It's where you take those Google Maps like I just showed you and link them together and then link them to other Google properties and link them to Web 2.0 properties, and you're passing all this Google juice onto your site, and that really, really is powerful. Now, it's kind of it's like the last thing you need to do. Like if you do everything else, you're probably going to rank anyway, but that can really give you some extra punch. So that's a nice advanced technique as well. So that's just a few things off the top of my head. You can also do things like search and click traffic and some other advanced techniques too. So let me see if we have any questions. Sean says, Do you build all 120 map citations from the same Google account or 120 different accounts? Neither. You can, I mean, you can do them all from one account. The problem with there is if Google takes away your account, then all those go away. But you also probably don't need to do 120 different accounts either. You can probably spread it out a little bit. And there are services. It's pretty easy to create them. Like I show that in the course, but it's also pretty easy to do them yourself if you want to take the time to do that. I recommend with things like that you do them at least once yourself, so you know what you're looking for if somebody else does them for you. And then you either find an outsourcer or a virtual assistant and train them to do it for you. So it says, what course are you talking about? We're going to get to that in just a second. Nahum. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So any other questions on that section or any of the other sections before we go on? You enjoying this so far? Let me know that. Has this been useful so far? I mean, we got more to go, but I just want to know. Pardon my voice. I've been recording videos for the last week or so, and I did a webinar earlier today, and it's starting to catch up to me a little bit. So, all right, everyone says that's good. All right, so let's just recap real quick, and then we'll get on to the next part. Step 1, N.A.P, name, address, and phone number, needs to be consistent throughout your entire ecosphere, for lack of a better term. Every place you can put this, you should put it. Every time you use it, it should be exactly the same. Optimizing your site, that means you can geotag images on your site. Sometimes WordPress strips that out depending on the theme that you use. Geotagging is, like we said, putting the data about where the image was taken into the image. Excuse me. And then you want to have the name, address, and phone number on there, and a map. And then there's some other little things, but those are the main steps. Your Google business, google.com/business. This is where you set up your business in Google and give Google all the information about your business that it needs, so it knows when you set it up in other places what business it is that you're talking about. Citations are other sites that list your name, address, phone number, and link to your website. Some popular ones include Yelp, Facebook Business, Foursquare, and some others. And it really technically is any other site that lists your site and those 4 factors. So links we talked about. We talked about social links. We talked about guest post links, Web 2.0 links, which are very similar to social links, and then private blog network links for using those to rank. And then we talked about Google reviews, how even though they're not as important as they once were, that they are still important. So you definitely want to get those when you can. And plus, I think, just as a tangent, even if they're not important for ranking, I think it's important for credibility. So if you can get those, get them. But as far as ranking goes, they're of the lesser factors. So, and then the secret sauce are things like the Google Maps citation that I showed you. I think those are really, really cool. There's our Google entity stacking, or Google Map stacking, I guess it's what it's called. It's where you link Google properties to other Google properties to Web 2.0s like Weebly and Tumblr and Strikingly and so on. And then you link those to your website. Think of it as kind of like a pyramid, although I don't want to use that term because link pyramids don't really work that much anymore. And then there's stuff like search and click traffic from crowdsearch.me or Source Machine, where you hire people to go search your site and stay around on your site, and that's a small factor as well. And then there's some other ones like schema, which is metadata in the HTML code. So those are some of the secret sauce or advanced techniques that you can do to help rank in Google Maps. So all that pretty interesting? You guys enjoy that so far? Good. So if it's all right with you, I want to show you something that we're putting out to help go into detail on the different steps involved in that. Is that okay? Can I show that to you guys? All right, people saying yes. So because I don't want to waste your time if you're not interested. What I've come up with is a little product called Superstar Maps Mastery. Shout out to my friend Scott who created this image for me. This would have literally taken me weeks to do on my own. So give him a little hand high five there. What this is basically going to be, it's a little course I put together. It's a 6-week course showing you exactly the steps that I do to rank in Google Maps. I kind of just covered like an outline of what they are, but into this I go into detail on each one, and I do an example like over my shoulder throughout the course. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the course, and then we'll go on from there. It's, like I said, it's 6 complete weeks, and it's really more than 6 weeks, but I have it broken down into weeks because I find that has a good flow to it. And if you do it in those steps, I don't want to say you'll rank in that amount of time, but generally that's about what it takes. Obviously certain terms are harder than others. So my favorite example is Kennebunksport hernia surgeon isn't going to be as hard as New York lawyer. So, but that's generally, on average, that's about what it's going to take you. And the way it works is week 1 is setting up your site. So we go into detail, and I actually have a live example that we're going to be doing throughout the course, so you can see as it goes. I don't want to call it a case study because the goal isn't necessarily to rank the site for the course, but it's to show you the steps, so it should end up ranking anyway. Anyway, that's week 1. I should have put the individual weeks on here, but I failed to do that, so bad me. Week 2 is all about optimizing your Google business listing. And like I said, this is really the key as far as telling Google what your business is. So I set up one right there in the course that I'm going to be using. I even ran into some challenges when doing that because it's not the business I'm doing isn't an actual business. So I had to improvise a little bit, and I'll talk about that later. But so we go and I show you all the steps for geotagging your images, setting up the different settings within it, and making it look nice, and so on. Week 3 is probably the most intense week as far as different things that we do in the course, and that's creating citations. So I create a couple of them live, of the foundational ones. There's like a Yelp and a Facebook, and then I show you different places that you can get them done for you, because it's one of those things, like I say, you want to do it once, but then you want someone else to do it because it is very time consuming. But if you do it once, you have an idea of what you can tell other people to do. So hopefully that makes sense. And then I show you how to turn other sites into citations, if that makes sense. So stuff like Yelp and Yellow Pages and what have you, those are citations by default. But there are ways to take other properties and turn them into citations by listing your name, address, phone number, and linking to your site in a way that looks natural. So week 4 is link building. I show you exactly, the PBN one is my favorite video in that particular week because I show you a way that a lot of people will tell you is wrong, but I have found great success with it for creating a post and optimizing the outbound anchor text. Anchor text is the text that shows up on a link when you click a link. So hopefully that makes sense with that. And then we also cover Web 2.0 links. There's a couple other things I'm blanking. I'll show you actually inside the course here in a minute, but there's like 4 or 5 different types of links. Guest post links, I show you a nice source of getting those. And I'm working on getting someone to create a whole video on how to go get them yourself as well. So week after that, we go into more techniques such as map embeds, traffic, reviews, and so on. Some of the things that we just talked about, I show you how to do those. And I've got a question here. Can press releases actually be used as citations, or is that sales BS? Yes, they can be. My only problem with that is that those press releases like press cable and stuff like that, they get purged a lot, so they don't last as long. But yeah, I mean, you always put in your address and the link to your site, so technically those are citations too. And it can help, but it's not something I teach because I don't, like I say, they don't stick. Excuse me. They end up getting purged and removed, so they're not permanent. So I don't have that in the course, but they do help. So hopefully that answers that. And then we show the advanced techniques that we just talked about. I still have a couple more videos to upload to that I've somehow didn't upload or forgot or something, but we go into, I have Iman, he records a video. And again, anytime you talk to Iman, you want to refer to him as the I-Man. So just a little inside joke of ours there. But he goes into how he does his Google map stacking. And then I'm going to add more stuff to that as it occurs to me or as people ask about it and so on. And then we're going to do 3 live Q&A webinars. I picked 3 because in my last course I did 4 and literally no one showed up for the 4th one. And I don't mean a few people showed up, I mean not one person showed up for it. So we're going to do 3 this time. And if there's more demand, then we'll do 4. And then there's a private Facebook mastermind. I know that probably sounds like just another Facebook group, and maybe there's some truth to that, but I've learned more from Facebook groups than I have from any other source in my internet marketing career. that I think that they're valuable, and I think it's great when they're distilled down to a group like that focuses on one topic. That way you're all kind of experiencing the same thing, and you can kind of work through problems and see what they're going through. And then there'll be more as I think of more things. Like in the webinar this afternoon, some people asked questions or asked if certain things were in the course that had not occurred to me. So as people request things or ask questions, I'll add more to it as we go on. So someone said, I wonder if that's Will I Am. Will I Am says, what about YouTube links? Do they count? I suppose so. I mean, they don't pass a lot of link juice, but yeah, you can put in your name, address, and phone number in the description as well as a link. I wouldn't go crazy with it, but if it makes sense to do that, then yeah. Like if you have, I don't know, if you have a painting business and you put up a video about painting, and you can say, and you can come visit my painting site here and put in the name, address, and phone number. So yeah, technically that would count as a citation. So that's a good question. So let's talk about what this would be worth. If I was going to make courses about these individual topics or offer these as services, this is how I would go about it. The site optimization course, if I were to put out like a PDF or a course on that, would probably run about $47. And then a Google My Business optimization course would probably run about $97. And creating citations, you can get those done yourself, but if you're going to get the right amount, you're going to spend about $100. And so that's probably what I would charge for that if I was going to do that. A link building, I mean, that's such a broad topic. It could be a course all into itself. Each version of link building could be a course unto itself. So that's about a $297 value. Because this is internet marketing, all these prices end in 7. But then if we were going to do a class on reviews, traffic, and other advanced techniques, then those kind of merge together. They would be $197 and $297. And Q&A, I'm not going to be so arrogant as to put a dollar value on my time, but I am very busy. So if I was to do that, it would be a lot. And then the private mastermind, I don't think you can really put a value on something like that. So I just left that blank as well. So what we have there is a minimum of $1,032. But in addition, I'm going to add in my last course, Superstar Local Video Mastering, at no additional cost. And this is a course that right now I'm selling for $97. And just to show you that I'm not full of stuff, right there it is, $97. And like I said, we did have a guy on the webinar earlier that said that he had used that to, and I'll cover what this is about in a second for those that are wondering, but he said he had used that and he picked up, a $4,000 a month client just with what he got from that. And he says that it really impresses people and has been a great foot in the door for him. So shout out to Dave. His name's Dave. Earlier we had 4 Daves on, so I shouted out to like 4 people all at once. But what this course teaches is how to basically start a business, ranking videos in Google for easy to rank terms. And some of you have seen me do this before. And then either selling those videos or renting them by the month or selling the leads that they generate to local businesses. It shows you how to set up a higher business doing just that. Like this, the first way I started making money on the internet was by doing affiliate sites. And then the second way I started making money was on selling services. And then the third way that I really built up enough money to start making a career out of this was doing this. So I show you how to set up that business, how to find customers for it, how to do the research, how to get videos created cheaply. And that was always a concern a lot of people had, was how do I get videos made? And I show you several places you can either just straight up purchase them or tools that you can use to build them yourself. I don't build any myself because I don't have a creative bone in my body, but a lot of people do. And I show you my exact process for ranking these videos. When I did the webinar for that, I don't know, I think it was in early June. I did it 2, just like we did today. And both times I got a #1 ranking instantly. So I show you exactly how I go about that. And I show you the tools that I use and the other ways to make money with it. And there's some other videos in it as well, the Q&A webinars and so on. So normally that's a course I charge $97 for, but I'm going to throw that in for free with this MAPS course. So hopefully you'll appreciate the value in that. So to sum it up, you're going to get the 6 weeks of coaching and training, the 3 live Q&A webinars, because 4 people don't show up for. That hurt my feelings a little bit, but I got over it. They show you the over-the-shoulder Google Maps ranking example, and what that is throughout the course I'm using the same site, and we're going to continue working on that until we get it ranked so that you can see, so I can prove my credibility, not just from what I've already shown like already have out there, but you can see it as the process goes on and see what if things happen that how we adapt and so on. You get the private Facebook mastermind access, and you get my course Superstar Local Video Mastery totally for free. So that would come to a total of $1,129. Now, the people that have taught me how to do sales webinars tell me that I should then go through and tell you it's not going to be this much, it's not going to be this much, it's not going to be that much. But I'm not going to do that because I think it's tedious and mean. So I'm just going to tell you that it's not going to be the $1,129. Today, we're going to do it for one payment of one time only of $97. So before we go into, well, let me just pause for a minute and see if anybody has any questions before we go on. So if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, just say, keep going. Mike says, 6 weeks. I assume it's pre-recorded and can be consumed in quicker than 6 weeks. P.S. I'm really excited to hear more about that PBN anchor text trick. Yeah. I mean, most of it's already in there. In fact, all the main pieces are in there. I just have it broken down that way because there needs to be like a logical flow to it. But yeah, you can consume the whole thing in one day if you want. I find that you want to do steps in a certain order and pace them out a little bit. And that's, yeah, basically that PBN, I'm not going to give away. You almost got me there. I almost gave it away. So, anything else? Any other questions? Can I keep going? Great. So, just before we continue, I want to. This is my favorite part of doing webinars because I try to get a little creative with it each time. But what else can you do with $97? You and one person that you know, which in my case would be nobody, but if you have a social life unlike me, you can go to Outback Steakhouse, have a decent dinner, get the bloomin' onion. No drinks though. I doubt you're gonna be able to cover that for $97. I don't know. I haven't drank in like 10 years, but that's one way you could spend your $97 if you're into that sort of thing. You can, if you're a gamer, you can go tomorrow and pick up Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age. I used to love Final Fantasy games. I still do, but I don't have much time for gaming. But if I was still into it, I would spend my $97 on that. And then it would be gone and I'd beat it in like a week or two. Just a minute, Paul. You can buy a half a pair of sunglasses. I mentioned earlier that sunglasses are kind of my thing, and recently I bought a pair of that I've wanted since I was a kid, the Wayfarer Ray-Bans, but they were almost $200. So you can only buy half a pair of those. So enough of that. I just wanted to show that some of the other things you can do, or what you can do, is take this course and learn some skills that with one sale, you can 10x your investment. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. For $97, you can easily pick up one client that pays you $1,000 a month. Or if you have your own business, you can do this for that and get one piece of business out of it. So it's up to you. You can spend it on food, video games, or sunglasses, or you can take a bet on yourself and invest in the course yourself. So if you want to check that out today, you can either go to superstarseo.com/mm, and I'm going to stick this in the chat box. Or if you have to have PayPal, I would prefer that you use the top link, but if you have to have PayPal, I have it set up where you can buy it on Conquer at superstarseo.com/PayPal. So let me stick this in the chat box for you, and then we'll get into some serious Q&A. So if you have any questions, go ahead and start loading them up while I'm pasting this. And I'm going to stop talking for a second because my voice is on its last legs. So yeah, if you click on the PayPal link, it's going to take you to Conquer, so don't be surprised. And if you do buy it that way, just make sure you give me your email address. So, all right. So that's all I've got for you for now. But if you have any questions, go ahead and load those up. I'm going to run and grab a drink of water real quick. I'll be right back and start doing some Q&A with you. Sorry about that. I know somebody's out there going, I didn't pay to hear him drink water. Not that you paid, but anyway. Let me see if I can find the questions here. Who do you recommend for my maps creation? Myself. I'm not going to lie, I have a service for it because I know how powerful it is. I decided to offer it to others. And there's anything that I recommend to have somebody else do in the course, there's a link to it. So, which of your Conquer gigs would you say is the most badass? I don't know, man. You're like asking me to pick my kids. My favorite kid. Probably the map one. Maybe that's just because that's what we're talking about, but I don't know. I think it's a more unique one, and I think it's kind of cool. So that's probably my favorite. Mordecai says, what about foreign countries that doesn't have much local citation options? What you want to do there are get your foundational ones, your Yelp, your Foursquare, if they have that over there, so on. Then you want to get map embeds, which I show in the course. You're going to want to get the custom map links like I showed. And you're going to want to use go heavier on the links with anchor text that are your keywords. And that should rank. Again, I haven't done a lot of foreign, but that's probably what you're going to have to do. Josh says, got to bounce out of here. Thanks, Chris. Going to give this a shot. Thanks, Josh. Have a good one. James said, this is a great presentation. Thank you. I've been doing SEO for a while now and needing more help with link building myself. Great. Well, I hope this will help you out. Nahum, again, I apologize if I'm not getting your name right. It says, how long is the offer for? The course is going to remain open. The bonus with Superstar Video Mastery is going to be throughout, is going to be good till Sunday. Matthew says, is there a refund policy? I don't offer refunds because I've had people steal my courses that way. So I don't offer a refund. It's not because I don't believe in it, but I do believe that people are going to come in, consume it, and then say, all right, I don't want it. So no, there will be no refunds. Do you recommend a citation building service? There's several. I have several in the course that I mentioned. There's some great gigs for it, or you can use the expensive stuff like Yext. So, Nahum, and again, I'm going to say this every time, but if I'm saying your name wrong, let me know. Totally unrelated, but how do I order social signals from you? Like, how does it work with anchor text and everything? I don't want to get into that a ton, but you just give me your URL, and if you want branded anchor text, then you just tell me. James says, I know the GSA one is good. Going to look into others. I'm not sure what you mean, but great. Sue says, is your map service on Conquer? Yes. Also, I forgot to mention, it's not open yet, and I don't have any more detail yet, but I am going to be offering a done-for-you map ranking service, kind of a monthly thing. So be on the lookout for that. Ronan says, I've bought a bunch of your Google stacking gigs on Conquer. How much time will I need to do them myself? Okay, so if by Google stacking you mean like the Google map stacking gig, that's actually Iman's gig. He says that each one takes 3 or 4 hours a piece, so probably about that. And if you're going to do them on your own, then probably, if you mean the custom maps, citations, to do one takes 5 to 10 minutes. So if you do 100 of them, you're looking at a couple of hours. That's per site, so hopefully that answers that. Paul says, do I need to buy the course if I'm going to hire you to do the work via Conquer? Well, I don't offer all of this on Conquer. Like, I don't do map setup or any of that sort of thing. Not yet, anyway. Somewhere down the road, we're going to offer something through my site, but not on Conquer. It's up to you. If you'd rather do it yourself and kind of piece together the different pieces that you need and hire me or whoever else to do them, then it's up to you. Whatever works best for you. Is there a refund policy? Matthew, I already answered that. Steve said, is this all white hat? It depends on how you look at it. Technically, no SEO is white hat. PBNs could be considered gray hat. I don't do any straight up black hat stuff though, because I'm not going to be firing SAP or GSA or anything like that at them. The closest we get to black hat is PBN, but that's, to me, it's kind of a gray hat because it's using a site's links. But no, we're not going to do anything that's going to get you in trouble if that's what you're asking. This is great, Chris. Great info. Thanks. Thank you, Will. Ronan said, I'm in, but I'm nervous it will be a giant time suck for doing it myself. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I do it myself for my clients because I think it's important. So James Murray says, your gig. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Ronan says, I'm in. Great. And Ronan, glad to have you. Hope I'm pronouncing that name too. Nahum says, gotta go, but I'm definitely getting this. I'm sure you'll remember me because of my name. That's good, man. I appreciate that. And I'll put the recording of this up later on. I'm probably not going to do it tonight because I am whooped. I stayed up all weekend getting all this ready. So there's that. Steve says, thanks. Paul says, I ordered anyway. Thanks for the great webinar. Thank you, Paul. Ronan says, you are. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, we got any more questions? Keep them coming. I love doing Q&A, even though I am getting a little hoarse. But I love doing Q&A. I've been all, if you don't follow me on YouTube, here's a cheap plug. Follow me on YouTube, and I do at least once a week. I do a Q&A video where people just fire all their questions at me in my Facebook group, and I answer them for them. Really looking forward to this. Thanks. Thanks a lot, Ronan. Curtis says, Chris, currently rank #1 in the snack pack for my business and understand much of Google My Business and citation links. Should I move on with the course, hoping to learn more tricks of the trade, or go to your map entity stacks and conquer gigs? That's up to you, man. I mean, my instinct, you know, I am making some money on this, I'm going to be straight, is to tell you to try the course. But if you feel like you know what you're doing and you don't need the extra direction, then you can go with that. You can always get the course later if you want. I would prefer you get it now while you can still get the local video mastery. And by the way, if you're already in local video mastery, I'll upgrade you to elite, so you can still get some value out of that. I should have mentioned that earlier, but I guess I forgot. So it's up to you, and I can't really, that's kind of a business decision. If you feel like you have everything you need, then you can do it. Otherwise, you can check out my course and hopefully have it for reference. My thing with courses is I've bought stuff where I was pretty sure that, I've spent way too much on courses, but I've bought stuff where I was pretty sure I knew everything, but even if I get one thing out of it, to me, that's worth it. So, and just so you know, I'm practicing what I preach right now. I'm in a $97 a month Facebook ads course. I'm in a $97 a month YouTube marketing course, and I'm in a $2,000 a month private mastermind. So for internet marketers. So I buy a lot of courses too, because I think they're valuable. And that's why I decided to start doing them myself, because I'm going to get a little preachy here, but it's just my philosophy on life that you're meant to help give back to people and improve their lives in whatever way you can. And if everybody did that, we'd all be a lot better off. And enough of that. So Curtis says, wouldn't be here if I didn't think I could learn more of your tricks. Thanks for the offer. Thanks a lot, Curtis. I appreciate that. It really means a lot. Will says, I'm in. Got to get some... Oh, it moved. Where'd it go? I'm in. Got to get some sleep now. We'll make the purchase in the morning. I'm in the UK. Look forward to the Q&A session. Awesome, Will. I look forward to having you there. I appreciate that. Dan says, do you have any high DA or CFTF PBN link conquer gigs? Not me personally, but I do know some. So just hit me up in my Facebook group or in the course, and I'll point you towards some. Steve says, can you put up again what we get in the Superstar Maps Mastery? Sure. This is the Maps Mastery course, and then of course you get the Video Mastery course as well. But these are the 6 or 7 weeks plus the questions and the answers and so on. So Dan says thank you. Steve says thank you. Well, thank you both. Let me ask you guys something before everybody dips out. Steve says I'm in. That's awesome. I'm glad to have you, Steve. I really do appreciate that. And did you get a lot out of this? Did I go too fast, or did it work out okay? Just a good webinar. Should I do more things like this? Because I don't want to do things. You are fast. Laugh out loud. I told you, man. I can't help it. I really do try that, and even from like my mom and stuff, give me a hard time about that. But you know, it's just me. But I hope you guys did find this valuable. So if you did, please let me know, and I'll keep doing this sort of thing. I don't want to do something if people aren't getting any value out of it. And not every webinar I do is going to have something to buy at the end of it, because I know how frustrating that can get. Like I did one with Craig Griffiths a while back where he showed for an hour, he showed different ways to get clients with cold email. So check around my Facebook group for that. I say mine. Check around the Superstar SEO Facebook group for that, and you'll find some. Yeah, great info. Thank you for your time. Thanks a lot, Paul. Appreciate you guys being here. So still quite a bit of people on, but the questions are dying down a bit. What else you guys got for me? Curtis says, keep doing them. I will, man. I appreciate that. I know it sounds cheesy and just, I don't know. I feel insincere when I'm saying it, but I really do like to give back to people. So Dan said, good webinar. I thought your pace was fine, but I know a bit about this already. Keep it up, though. Very helpful. Thanks a lot, Dan. I appreciate that. Tyler says, thanks for the info. You're welcome, Tyler. Jason says, who do you recommend for my maps creation? My map. If you mean like the Google Maps that I showed, then I recommend myself. I have a Conquer gig for that, and it's pretty cheap, I think. And there's a discount for it in my group, so check that out. Raymond says, I agree with Curtis. Keep them coming. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate that. What's your YouTube link, please? It's, you would think I would know this, but it's kind of weird. So give me a second. I'll stick it in the chat box. That's my YouTube channel. Let's see. Good. Give back my $97 and give me the course for free. I'm not that giving. You know, I got bills to pay. You know, and like I said, it did take me a lot of time to put all this together, and I do have a lot of expenses. So believe me, if I could, I would give everything away for free. So how much does it cost to upgrade to Elite Video Mastery? If you're already in it, then it's a $97 upgrade. I think you already are in it, right, Matthew? I'm not sure. I'm pretty good with names, but I can't remember for sure if you're in it or not. Steve says, thanks, just subbed and just buying your course now. I appreciate that, man. I really do. I've put a lot of time into this stuff, so I hope people get value out of it. So, all right, guys. Starting to die down some more. Any more questions for me? I'll stay here as long as you need me. I got nowhere to go. I'm going to probably go work out so I can sleep like a baby tonight, as much as I ever sleep like a baby. So, Dan says, any shot you might be able to take a look at my site and point out why I'm not cracking the top spot for my city SEO? Not right now, but if you message me on Facebook, I'm going to start doing that a little more. I'm probably going to have to start slowing down on it a bit too, because I'm getting 2 and 3 people a day asking me for it. And as much as I'd love to help, you know, there's only so many hours in the day. But yes, send me a message on Facebook and give me the information. So Drew says, I found this great. Thanks for the webinar, Chris. Drew, I appreciate that, and I hope it's entertaining and educational at the same time. If it were up to me, I would do stuff like this all day long. But you know, Sue says, how much are your lead gen videos on Conquer? They're like $5. I can throw that link in the chat box if you want. Any other questions, guys, while I get this link for Sue, or wrapping up? I know it's getting kind of late for some of us. I mean, I'll be up until, I can't really think of a clever way of putting it. I'll be up for a long time, but, you know, I know some people go to bed earlier than me. Copy link address. There's that link for you, Sue. I mostly use Facebook, Sue. So if you have something for me you can ask me there. If I don't answer right away, just be patient with me, because I get 50, 60 messages a day, not always from people I know. So I do my best, but it's getting harder as I get more people that I interact with. I'm trying to say that in a way that doesn't make me sound pompous. Plus, I just don't really like Skype very much. Excuse me. So, questions dying down a bit. Anybody got any other questions? Going once? Going twice? All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Keep my name in mind. I will, too. I think I've seen you before, so don't worry. I'll help you out as much as I can. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you being here. If you have any questions, find me on Facebook. Hopefully you're in the Facebook group. If you're not, go to superstarseo.com/Facebook. And I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your time. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, hit me up on Facebook or see me on Conquer. And thanks again, and I will talk to you soon. Have a good evening.